Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new NBA player prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I have 4 NBA player props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's NBA slate. But first, guys, before we dive into today's picks, a quick little recap of how we did last night. And it is official, ladies and gentlemen, we are on a cold streak. Our second reverse sweep in the last week. 0-4 performance last night. We lost 4 units. Now, to be fair, we are still positive on the year. 161 and 141 in our single bet category. We are still up over 13 units profit this year. But obviously, this past week has been a bit of a disaster for us. But guys, welcome to sports betting. It happens. It's the nature of the game. You have hot streaks, you got cold streaks, you got those in-between times when you're doing okay but not great or whatever. We are on a cold streak right now. We're going to get out of it. It's a little bit of a betting rut. We're going to be okay. I promise you guys. The key thing, this is my big advice to people who are maybe they're on a cold streak. Do not, kind of go too far away from what you do, right? In my terms, right? Analytics. We're not going to move away from the data. We're not going to move away from the stats. We're not going to change anything we're doing because honestly, we weren't off the money in terms of where our looks were last night. For example, OG Anunoby, right? We had him over 17.5 points. He finished with 9 points. What happened? He shot 3 for 13. He had the volume. He had the matchup. He just didn't shoot the ball well. It happens. Zion is a completely different circumstance where Trey Murphy gets hurt in the first minute, out for the season. CJ McCollum goes 1 for 15 shooting, and Zion has to do everything for that team. If I had known Trey Murphy's not playing, had I known CJ McCollum, was going to have the worst shooting night of his career, we obviously probably wouldn't have taken an under on Zion's points. So on and so forth. You get the point, guys. The data's there. I still think the data's solid. Just things happen and it didn't go our way. We are not going to let that deter us. We're going to get right back on the horse today, and we're going to keep on going. We got 4 player props and with some really good data, some really good matchups coming your way. All the haters, all the critics, listen, you guys can have your day. It's absolutely deserved right now because we are sucking balls right now with how bad we've been the last couple days. But I want this message to go right to you guys, the guppies, to the haters. You can have your day today, but I promise you, I will break this cold streak. And when I do, I'm coming for you. Let that be known. All right, guys, 4 player props coming your way. No more time to waste. Let's dive right into today's picks. All right, guys, jumping right into the outlier screen here. Our first 2 picks from today's video are coming from this Atlanta Hawks Charlotte Hornets game, 7 p.m. tip-off. Kicking things off, we got Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks over 38.5 points plus assists, which we are getting from minus 120 odds over on DraftKings. It is available on multiple sportsbooks for varying odds. And, I got to start off the video pissing people off because the data is not great on this player prop, but it's all about the matchup here in this scenario for Trae Young. Last 10 games, just 4 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 34.2 points plus assists per game over his last 10. If you go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view for Trae Young, it's not great. 41% hit rate this year, 26 out of 63 games he's cashed this over, averaging 35.43 points plus assists per game this season. Now, to be fair, this line is slightly elevated due to the matchup here, but you do see if we narrow it back down to the last 5 games, he's actually been playing pretty well. He's cashed it in 3 of his last 5, averaging 38.6 points plus assists per game over his last 5 games. Even over the last 20 games for Trae Young, a 55% hit rate, averaging 38.2 points plus assists per game over his last 20 games. Now, I do understand that Trae Young is a bit of an inconsistent player. I know a lot of people I see in the comments, anytime I do anything with Trae Young here, they don't like betting him. Totally understandable. He definitely has burned me a time or 2 in the past, but this matchup is too good to pass up. Look at the head-to-head data here. Now, just 2 of his last 6 meetings with the Hornets, he's cashed the over. However, he's played them 3 times this year. He's cashed the over in 2 of those 3 matchups this year. He's had some pretty big performances. Back on October 25th, he had 38 points and 10 assists. In their most recent matchup, less than a week ago, he had 35 points and 12 assists. So he's had some pretty massive performances when playing the Hornets this year. And like I said, guys, it's all about the matchup here for Trae Young against the Charlotte Hornets. Now, overall this year, middle of the road, 15th in points allowed, 15th in assists versus point guards. It does show the overall numbers, 18th in points and 12th in assists. So again, middle of the road in both those categories. However, over the last 7 games, the Charlotte Hornets, the 3rd worst defense in the NBA in terms of points allowed to the point guard position, giving up over 30 points per game to point guards over the last 7 games. So the overall numbers are still not great. 18th is not a good number, but they're better. But over the last 7 games, even if you go to the last 15 games, they are bottom 10 in the NBA. In the last 7, they're bottom 3. One of the worst defensive teams right now versus point guards. And again, 6 days ago, these two teams played. Trae Young went off in that matchup. Again, he had 35 points and 12 assists in that game. So he just did it less than a week ago. The Hornets are struggling right now to defend the point guard position. LaMelo Ball, really solid offensive player, not really a world-class defender. And also add to the fact that Atlanta right now, look, who's going to score the points for this team? Now, Charlotte's not a great defensive team to begin with, but, a lot of guys out, obviously. Your lineup, is Dyson Daniels going to step up? He hasn't been. Is Zachary Ricochet going to step up? He hasn't been. Who's going to step up for this team? A lot of guys are out, so I think Trae Young is a really solid bet in this matchup against the Charlotte Hornets. All right, guys, our second player prop in today's slate, sticking with this game and sticking with the bad data. Yeah. I'm on a cold streak, and I'm betting all these player props with bad numbers, but I'm telling you guys, the matchup is certainly warranted here. LaMelo Ball, over 35.5 points plus assists, minus 110 over on BetMGM. It is available on multiple sportsbooks for varying odds. He's cashed it in just one of his last 10 games, averaging 26 points plus assists per game. Overall this year, a 39% hit rate on the over for LaMelo, averaging 32.59 points plus assists per game. You do see a lot more green in the first half of the season, of late, a lot more red. This line, again, is elevated, though, for LaMelo Ball. From a head-to-head perspective, he's cashed this over in one of the last 3 matchups against the Atlanta Hawks. He's played them 2 times this year, 50% hit rate. Their first meeting, October 25th, he had 34 points and 4 assists. And their most recent meeting, about 6 days ago, again, he had 25 points and 9 assists, just barely missing it by 2 points/assists in that one. So in both matchups against the Hawks this year, you see pretty good numbers. He's averaging about 35, 36 points plus assists per game against Atlanta this year, so he's had some pretty good performances. Now, the Hawks overall this year, 13th in points allowed, 18th in assists allowed in general to point guard. Over the last 7 games, Atlanta is giving up the 3rd most assists to point guards, though, so the assist numbers are a lot worse, and the point numbers also not as good. Now, they're not bottom 10 or anything, but they are about 18th in points allowed to point guards over the last 7 games. So again, they are not the worst, but they're still not good, and actually they're worse compared to their overall numbers. So point guards are having a bit of success here. Again, they're bottom half of the league in both points allowed and assists allowed to point guards over the last 7 games. But the key number here, guys, and the reason why I like this player prop is the fact that Miles Bridges, among a lot of other people, is out tonight for Charlotte, but specifically Miles Bridges. Now, we know, obviously, a lot of the other guys, Brandon Miller and whatnot, but the key one here is Miles Bridges. We have a filter here to show this season without Miles Bridges what it looks like. A 100% hit rate. He's played 7 games this year without Miles Bridges. All 7 games without Bridges. He's cashed the over, and he's averaging a whopping 45.57 points plus assists per game this year without him. Some massive performances without Miles Bridges this year. And it makes sense with him being out. Kind of the same thing with the Trae Young player prop. Who else is going to step up for this Hornets team? And the answer, quite clearly, is nobody. LaMelo Ball is the go-to option. Last 10 games without Miles Bridges, 90% hit rate. He's cashed it in 9 straight games, dating back to last season when Miles Bridges does not play. So, again, the overall numbers, I don't know that they don't look great, but with Miles Bridges being out, with the matchup here against a Hawks defense, Trae Young is not, again, like LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, not a world-class defender. I do think it's a decent enough matchup, and with Miles Bridges being out, LaMelo Ball should have a really big game. That's the second player prop in today's slate. We are about to hit the 9-minute mark in today's video, guys, so if you are still watching, comment 9 down below. As always, we appreciate those who watch through each and every single one of our videos. And by the way, shout out to today's sponsor and the sponsor of every NBA player prop video we do here on the channel, Outlier. Outlier is truly the best sports betting tool on the market. All the data that you guys are seeing in this video and all of my videos, it all comes from Outlier. And look, guys, I know we're on a bit of a cold streak here, and you guys may think, oh, why would I buy into Outlier when this guy's been losing? Guys, I'm 161 and 141. Yes, we're on a cold streak, but we are still 20 wins over 500 with using Outlier this year. It is truly the best sports betting tool, and it gives you data like the one we just showed with this LaMelo Ball prop that you would not find on your own. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to Outlier that goes into it. We're only showing you guys a little bit of the data. There's so much more. EV plus betting, arbitrage betting. With MLB starting, March Madness coming up, you're going to want a good sports betting tool by your side. It covers games, totals, player props, everything. So go ahead and check it out. Link down below in the description. We're giving you guys a 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. Really, guys, if you want to make money sports betting, you got to have the right tool by your side. And Outlier is the best tool that money can buy. And again, when you use that link down below, you're getting it for 7 days free to check it out for yourself. So shout out to Outlier for sponsoring today's video. Go check out that link down below. in the description. Let's carry on with the final two picks in today's video. All right, guys, next up, our third player prop in today's slate. We are moving on to the Warriors-Bucks game, 10 p.m. tip-off. And if you can't tell the theme by now, I'm really heavy on these point guards in today's video. We got Steph Curry over 24.5 points, which we're getting for -120 over on FanDuel, is available on multiple sports books for varying odds. Unlike the first two player props, the data is slightly better on this one. From an overall standpoint, it's still not great, but again, really good matchup on our hands here. Curry has cashed this over in 6 of his last 10 games, averaging 28.9 points per game over his last 10. If you do go ahead and stretch the numbers out to the entire season view, it is just a 47% hit rate on the over, averaging 24.27 points per game this year. So like I said, the overall numbers, not the best, but the recent numbers are pretty solid. Even last 20 games, 65% hit rate. Now, I did bet this Curry prop back on Saturday when they played the Knicks, and I did cash the over in that game, so we did already ride this once recently, and it's one of the only few winning props I've handed out in the last week or so. Now, the key thing here is Jimmy Butler, right? Games with Jimmy Butler this year that he's played, the data is pretty solid. 63% hit rate this year when playing with Jimmy Butler. He's cashed in 10 of 16 games with Butler, averaging 28.06 points per game when playing with Jimmy Butler this year. So Curry's numbers have definitely increased as a result of playing with Jimmy Butler. But above all else, the reason why this player prop is fantastic is the matchup with the Milwaukee Bucks. 100% hit rate. He's cashed the over both times he's played the Bucks in the last year. Last year, March 6th, he had 29 points. Their most recent matchup this season on February 10th, a little over a month ago, he had 38 points against Milwaukee. Now, overall, the Bucks are not a bad defensive team, 13th in the NBA this year in points allowed. However, if you narrow it down to the point guard position, they are the worst defense in the NBA versus point guards this year, giving up 27.4 points per game to the point guard position, which makes sense. Damian Lillard, at this point in his career, really can't defend point guards, and especially not one like Curry, who's so shifty, the three-point shooting and all that. So it's a really good matchup here against Damian Lillard and the Milwaukee Bucks. And again, played them one time already this year. He had 38 points in that game. Now, over the last 7 games, Milwaukee has gotten better. They are still bottom 10, though. It's still not a good team, but their numbers have increased slightly. They're no longer in the bottom 5. But listen, this is still their team right now. Let's see. They currently rank 9th in the NBA over the last 7 games in points allowed, so I guess actually 21st technically. But yeah, even in the last 15 games, you go to the last 15 games, still bottom 10 in points allowed to the point guard position. So whatever way you want to shake it, this team, although they've gotten slightly better defending point guards, they're still bottom 10 in the league, and then overall this year they've been pretty bad. So seems like a really good matchup here for Steph Curry. And then our fourth and final player prop in today's slate, we have Cavs, Clippers, 10:30 p.m. tip-off. One more point guard player prop for you guys. We got Darius Garland of the Cavaliers over 28.5 points plus rebounds plus assists, which we're getting for -115 over on BetMGM. He's cashed this over in 5 of his last 10 games, averaging 27.5 PRAs per game. Not bad. The further, though, we go ahead and stretch the data out, the better it looks. Last 20 games for Darius Garland, 65% hit rate, averaging 29.75 PRAs per game. Go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view, a 60% hit rate, averaging 30.27 PRAs per game. So the overall numbers are pretty solid. The recent data is okay, 50% hit rate over his last 10. However, narrow it further down to the last 5 games, 60%, including each of his last 3 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 29.6 PRAs per game over his last 5 games. This player prop has the best data of all 4 player props in today's video, and the matchup is still pretty solid. Now look at the head-to-head data here. He has not played the Clippers since last season, April 7th, but he had a really big game, 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists the last time they played back in April 2024. Now overall this year, the Clippers 7th in points allowed, 8th in rebounds allowed, and 12th in assists allowed respectively to the point guard position. Now, that's the overall numbers. However, if we do go ahead and narrow it down to the last 7 games, if we go ahead and narrow it down to the last 15 games, the Clippers are bottom 10 in both points allowed and assists allowed to point guards over the last 15 games. Narrow it a little further to the last 7 games. It's a little bit better. It's closer to where their overall form is, but they're still 16th in points, 16th in assists over the last 7 games. So again, slightly better, but if you go to the last 15 games, a little bit of a deeper sample size, bottom 10 in both points and assists, rebounds about middle of the road. So it seems to be a pretty good matchup. They definitely, one thing is for certain, of the last 15 games or the last month or so, the Clippers defensively ranked nowhere near where they did in their overall numbers. They're definitely not top 10 in any of those categories. They're at best middle of the road, if not bottom 10. So it seems like a pretty decent matchup. Garland has been playing very well lately. The Cavs in general have been playing very well lately. But I think Garland in particular should have a pretty good matchup on his hands here against the Clippers. So that's our fourth and final player prop in today's slate. Oh, and by the way, I forgot one more data point to kind of prove my point here. The insights provided by Outlier. Darius Garland has exceeded 28.5 points plus rebounds plus assists in 15 of his last 18 games on the road, averaging 30.8 PRAs per game over the last 18 road games. That is an 83% hit rate. So pretty good data, pretty good player prop to close out today's video. All right, guys, those are all 4 player props in today's NBA slate. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, guys, please make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Real quick, before we finish off the video, a quick little announcement that I saved for the end so I didn't bore the people who are just here for the picks. A little schedule announcement. Obviously, next Thursday is the official MLB opening day. I know today, March 18th, technically you have Cubs, Dodgers in Japan. I'm not doing a video for that one. Ev did. If you want to go check that out, it's already out on the channel. Ev did a little video for that game. I decided to hold off and wait for the actual opening day next Thursday. So yeah, starting next Thursday, we will have our MLB player prop videos, daily videos, returning with a little bit of a catch. Look, if anybody watched my videos last year, you'll know MLB was my most inconsistent sport in the sense that of video releases. Now, actually, from a performance standpoint, I was hitting my player props at like a 68% hit rate last year. So actually, out of all the sports, baseball was my best last year, hoping to carry that over into this year. But what happened last year was I was getting burnt out between doing the NBA and then baseball and then summer and everything going on with summertime. I don't want to go ahead and do that. So here's the plan so I don't get burnt out doing multiple videos a day. And obviously, I do work a full-time job as well. Starting next week, Monday through Friday, I will do an MLB player prop video every day, Monday through Friday. I will not be doing player prop videos on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. I'll still be doing NBA videos on Saturdays, but no videos on Sundays at all. And then on Saturdays, I'll stick to just NBA for now until the last week of May. The reason why, I'm waiting for the NBA playoffs to go a little deeper where there's less games. Once we get to like the conference finals, NBA finals, where there's only 1 or 2, or at most 2 games on a night, it's going to be a lot easier to balance 2 videos. And also, I'm going on for vacation May 18th to May 24th. So it kind of works so that the week, when I get back from my little vacation, my little golf trip with my friends, I'll be able to go hit the ground running and do 6 days a week MLB. So that's my announcement. MLB player prop videos are coming back starting next Thursday. We'll be doing them Monday through Friday until the end of May. And then after that, we'll be doing Monday through Saturday, our MLB player prop videos until the fall. I'm excited. I'm hype. As a Red Sox season ticket holder, I'm excited to go back to the ballpark and watch some baseball, bet on some baseball, and do some baseball videos. But of course, listen, that's double the research, double the recording time. It's a lot of extra work. I love doing it, but it is still work at the end of the day. A lot of extra hassle when it comes to making the videos each and every morning. So I do feel like doing 5 a week to start until basketball kind of slows down a little bit is the best way to go about it. So guys, that's my announcement. MLB player prop videos returning next Thursday. I don't know the schedule of the drop time. Probably MLB videos will come out first before NBA because baseball typically starts earlier in the day. So I'm going to try and do the MLB videos earlier and then the NBA after. We'll see. Ev and I have to kind of figure out a schedule because he obviously going to have 2 videos coming out a day as well. His daily MLB picks videos and his daily NBA picks videos. So a lot of stuff to figure out over the next couple of days as we get closer to baseball season. But very exciting stuff, guys. That is it for me today. Enough rambling. We'll see you all back here tomorrow with another NBA player prop video. But until then, I hope you're all winners. Let's go ahead and make some money.